Even if you don't understand, get the vibe, making your brain think in French. Bonjour à tous, dans cette vidéo je vais vous parler des moyens rapides d'apprendre la langue française. Well, actually this video is going to be in English because it is for those who have just started learning French, or for those who are stuck somewhere in the middle. So hopefully this video is going to give you some inspiration to keep going and maybe some life hacks that are going to help you learn French easier and faster. I've been learning French for about 5 years, I think, and I recently taken the exam DEL B2 and I've passed it, and I'm going to receive my certificate very soon. That's why I have something to share with you. So let's start with the basic. The first thing that I was taught was pronunciation in French, and I think some people may really struggle with pronunciation because there are a lot of rules.
Green glass towards worm verse. Vert, 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 vert.
Vert, vert.
And you really need to understand and immerse yourself in these rules. It will help you not to be bothered too much about pronunciation later. That just frees you from a lot of obstacles along your French learning journey. So that's it. Also, spelling rules. So I know that there are a lot of special signs that are written above the words, and I thought that you really need to memorize them, and that is partially true, but I was also taught quite recently that there are some rules that can help you to learn where to put each sign. They're called accent, accent grave, accent circumflex, etc. That also comes with experience. So the more you write, the more you see the words, especially if your visual memory is good, that is going to be very helpful for you. Next thing is to start speaking as soon as possible, especially if you know English, or I think that's also the case with Spanish, because I just feel that knowing and speaking English has helped me in learning French, because some words are similar, but of course they are different languages. But I don't know, I feel that having a background in English was very useful. Still, it's important to construct at least simple sentences and do it as much as possible. Of course, you're going to make mistakes because that's part of learning, that's part of the process, but just making your brain think in French and get used to this language, you kind of internalize it. I think that I internalize languages and I get the vibe, feel the language, that how it is easier for me to learn a language. Right, from my point of view, it's useful to read text out loud, especially when you have learned the pronunciation rules. You basically can read any word in French, almost, I think, but that will help you to train your pronunciation and to maybe memorizing some parts of this text and just retelling them. That is also good and great for getting used to speaking in French and to train your pronunciation. Next thing is to start watching series or cartoons in French, even if you don't understand a lot. Again, from my experience, it's very helpful to start watching something and just, again, listening to the language, getting used to its pronunciation, to how it sounds. That will be helpful in mastering your own pronunciation, your own listening skills. But then as time passes, you start understanding more and more, but it really takes some stamina to sit and watch and not to just give up. For example, I watched Peppa Pig in French. I think there are a lot of Peppa Pig series for a lot of languages, like German, I think, Spanish, and in French as well. So remember about that. You can go Google it. It's free on YouTube. It's at your disposal. There also go musicals, and I know that there are some musicals on YouTube that you can watch for free, especially if you're interested in music or theater. Let your interest lead you, let your hobby be in French. If there are some ways to do that, then do that. That will help you, and that will be enjoyable, and making the process enjoyable is important. Of course, it's not always going to be enjoyable, because sometimes you will have to learn something that you don't like and that you don't really understand. But yeah, this is part of a process, but making it as fun as possible is good, it's great. And of course, listening to some podcasts. I'm going to talk about it later in the second part of the video. If we continue the topic of letting your interest guide you, then I really enjoy singing songs in French. You can find lyrics on the internet and just follow along with the melody, with the song, just being inspired by music. And of course, that's like what everyone knows, but what not everyone does. So learning words consistently, there are, for example, Quizlet that can help you with that. I don't know, setting a reminder that you need to learn, for example, 5 words a day. That is a good idea, but doing that consistently is what is needed to be done. That's just like how you learn the language. But of course, there are different types of learners, I would say. So some people memorize words just by working with the language, so they don't have to like sit and learn or like do some cards on Quizlet, for example. But if that's not your case, then learn the words. That will boost your language knowledge. Grammar in French is a very interesting thing. I think that there are some points that may be a little bit complicated, but for me it's just like learning the basic rules and then understanding how those basic rules work. Because tenses, for example, in French, I'm talking about tenses, they are very interconnected, because like you take some part of one tense and you take some other part of some other tense and you form a new tense. What is useful is just to revise, look through the notes, look through rules at your student's book. Again, you train your memory, you revise, and this way learn the language. Here we slowly come to the sources. First of all, let's start with YouTube channels. Of course, there are a lot of YouTube channels that are dedicated to learning French on YouTube, but the ones that I have watched and that I've liked are, well, first is Piece of French, and the second one is French Mornings with Elisa. There you can find videos about grammar rules, words to learn, some expressions to learn, and other materials or topics that are connected to French culture, but that are not exactly about the language, but that about the culture that surrounds it. It's great to also surround yourself with culture. That's how you do not lose interest, I think, and this is how you understand more about the language itself. Then the websites. So there is one website called Francais. Let me see how it's called. There is a website called Podcast Français Facile, where you can find exercises, listening, expressions, some rules. I think I've used it quite a long time ago, but I've been there recently and I think it has not really changed. Let me see, I just have it here. Here you can find some information, some materials for the beginners, which is called débutant, intermediate, some grammar things. So check out this website. I think it's very useful. I think I've used it to learn numbers or some expressions, basic expressions, but there is definitely more than that. The other website is for conjugating verbs in French. It's called La Conjugaison. There you can find forms for different tenses, how the verbs are conjugated, all of this information in one place. And there is an app. There is also a website. As for dictionaries, so I use in a lot of cases, I use Collins Dictionary. There you can find pronunciations, some useful phrases, and translations in English. There is also French Dictionary. The definitions there are in French, so if you're an extreme learner, you can do that. But no, well, actually, I think that doing that, starting to use from French to French dictionary is better as soon as possible, because sometimes the translation may not be precise and there are words which do not have equivalents in English or another language that you speak. That's why understanding the definition, just like understanding the word, not translating it but understanding it, is helpful. And the last category is podcasts. One of the first podcasts that I started listening to was Inner French. It's on Apple Podcasts and it's also on YouTube, so you can watch it in the form of video. It's called the same way everywhere, Inner French. It's called Intermediate French Podcast, but I think that the speech of the speaker is quite good. I mean, it's understandable, so check it out and see how you feel about it, whether it's too difficult or maybe it's fine or maybe it's too easy. So let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you have tried it already. The next podcast that I've discovered recently is called Génération. I think that it has ended, so they're not issuing any other episodes. The topics there are quite interesting, about, I think, daily life, about some psychological things or lifestyle, self-development. So this is something I think that is interesting and something that is engaging. That leads me to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till this moment. Please share your thoughts in the comments down below. Maybe there are resources that you have tried or some pieces of advice, some tips that you have also found useful. Like, share, subscribe, all of that, and see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.